it is your girl Itty Bawa, and today I'm here for another event. You know me, staying booked and busy. Well, as I told you before, this month of April is Autism Awareness Month. So I'm here at this event talking and exploring how autism shows up in Black and ethnic communities. If you know somebody who could be affected by autism or lives with autism, then make sure you get in touch with NeuroStars, the organizers of this event today. Stay tuned. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Alright, that's better. There isn't a lot of us in here, but those of us in here, we can bring enough energy and life to this event. We're here for a purpose. Alright, good afternoon. I am Itty Bawa. I'm going to be one of the co-hosts for today. And
I am Maya. Pleased to meet. I mean, I've met a few of you, and oh my goodness, you guys are amazing. Amazing.
Yes, we're seeing some beautiful outfits today. We will both be your co-hosts for this event, which is all about autism awareness in ethnic communities. I'm sure you can all agree that this is a very important subject, a very important topic that we need to be speaking about in our community. So, before we begin, because we're running a little bit behind time already, but no worries, we are professionals and we will keep you on track. We've got some supporters, some partners who are sponsoring this event. First of all, we've got Africa. Africa, they work to safeguard children and people living with autism and managing their autism in everyday life. We've also got Stand Up and Stand Out. They are a parent-led voluntary organization that support people, young adults, children, and anyone with albinism and visual impairments as well. We've also got Sensational You. Now, if you are familiar with autism, you know that sensations and textures and things like that and sensory needs are quite a big thing. And so Sensational You, their vision is all about making sure that people's sensory needs are validated and met. And lastly, we've got somebody in the house, another partner called Oyemi Africana. That's the lovely lady in front with beautiful African prints. So Oyemi Africana is all about clothing and accessories tailored with love, a wardrobe for queens, as you can rightly see. All right, without any further ado, we're going to hand over, we'll be introducing the CEO and founder of the organization that's put this event together, NeuroStars. Without any further ado, please, round of applause for Abiola. Bounce. Buzzing with people who are wrapped with interest in learning more about autism. This room is actually full of people who have either direct or indirect experience themselves, but it's always great to hear straight from experts. We've had somebody that's in the British Psychology Society, we've had an occupational therapist, and now it's just a little sensory break, because we all need to rejuvenate a little bit and recoup. And very soon we're about to launch into the second half, so if you're still here, make sure you stay with us, and if you're going to be watching this online, then hopefully we'll see you in the second round. And listen, speaking of sensory needs, this whole outfit is a whole sensory need. I mean, look at my trousers. I got them in Africa Fashion Week 2 years ago, and I love them. I actually love touching things myself, so the fabric, the swatches, it feels very, very good for the skin. And then this top as well is actually more of like a PVC type feeling. So I like, an outfit that it needs to look visually appealing, or if it doesn't at least look visually appealing, this one does, then it's got to feel appealing. And my earrings too. So, yeah, I dress for the occasion. We are about to begin. I'm looking for one of mine. Okay, they're here. All right, everybody, can we take our seats? Let's get into the second half. Hope you've had a little refreshment, got yourself a drink, met some people, made some new contacts. All right. Okay, so let's get straight into it. Now, this next segment of the day is going to be a panel discussion. So earlier on we had some presentations, but now we are going to have a panel chat. Can I get everyone's attention? I'm going to stop the music. 1 second. Okay, everybody, we are launching into the second half, and this is going to be a panel discussion. Now, this topic is going to be on focusing on the side of parenting, being a parent to someone with autism or ASD. And for this segment, we've got panelists. The first person who I'm going to introduce, who's already sat up here ready, waiting. This is Maria Bradford, and Maria is the founder and head chef of Shrimp, a name inspired by the Creole word for fancy. And as you can see, she's looking very fancy today, so living up to the name. She's Sierra Leonean, and she creates Sierra Leonean cuisine. She's also the proud mom of an autistic child and the author of a stunning cookbook called Sweet Salon. So anybody who wants Sierra Leonean recipes, make sure you connect afterwards with Maria. And up next for this panel discussion, we have the Smiths. So the Smiths, I see them right in the corner to my right. Can you make your way up, please, Smiths? Yes, please. Round of applause, guys. We haven't given a round of applause. So the Smiths are a multiple family. They actually raised a son, also diagnosed with ADHD and autism. And what? And a brain injury as well. So you can tell that they are very dedicated parents to their child. And when they started this journey, they had very little resources or very little exposure to this world of neurodevelopmental conditions. So I guess you could say you've been learning as you've gone along. Oh, yeah. Right. And over the years, their commitment to their son's needs has led them across the globe seeking for expert care and support. So they're going to be talking to us today from their own lived experiences. And I'm going to pull up a chair to sit right beside you. And I've given a quick introduction, but I would pass the mic around. Maybe you could just do quick 1-minute introductions of yourself as well, and then we can get straight to the questions.
Hi, my name is Maria Bradford. I am a Sierra Leonean chef who's about to open a restaurant in Seven Oaks as well. But most importantly, I have a 10-year-old son, Chase, who is autistic, and you get to hear all about how amazing he is and how he has actually, he's been, I would say he's changed our lives for the better and given us an understanding that I feel we didn't have before of diverseness. That's coming from a black person, but he's really been our teacher and he continues to teach us, but you get to hear all about him.
Hi everyone, my name is Darren Smith and I'm a father of a 9-year-old Messiah Smith who is been diagnosed with cerebral palsy, what we call it acquired brain injury, and hemophilia, severe hemophilia A. During our journey, we started out from a very small place, me and both my wife. We are from a small island called Turks and Caicos Islands, which is the British territory. we started our journey in the Bahamas Islands, where Messiah took his first surgery and stuff like that. And ever since that first start of the journey, it's like we have been in the medical world, we have been learning more and more about interventions, more on, I would say, more education on the whole spectrum of autism, like different countries learning different ways of life, like just trying to adapt along the journey, you know. At one point we never felt settled, you know, but now that we have, you know, such a nice support, and I would say, you know, community, you know, dealing with the schools and all the support that we get from, I would say, the government, or, you know, wherever we get support from, it's now enabling us to actually be more greater at what we're doing now as parents. You know, for me, you know, coming from a man point of view, you know, we're, you know, masculine. You know, it's more like, yeah, we do everything with a drive, some of us. But at the same time, you know, I have my wife here with me who helps me to, you know, keep that demeanor as a man and do what I'm supposed to do. But I'm gonna pass it on to her and, you know, let you guys hear from her, because, you know, I could keep you talking all day long. I'm gonna let you hear her voice and what she has to say.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jennifer Smith, and I am the proud mom of Messiah. And Messiah is a little ball of everything, like one globe of special needs, and then he's like a little fragile egg that needs to be put in a bubble, but you cannot contain him. He is not to be contained, and he is so resilient because his brain injury happened when he was only 12 months. And that was because of a bleeding disorder. And then, as my husband said, we went from Turks and Caicos to the Bahamas, from the Bahamas to Canada, and from Canada, then we ended up over here. And now I am a nurse, a carer, a teacher. I mean, you name it, I'm in now.
Nice.
But yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you so much. All right, actually, so you can keep that. I wanted you to have your own moment of introducing yourself, because only you can tell your own story, really, your own way. But let's go to the first question, and we're going to start with, how did you first discover that your child had this neurodivergent or neurodevelopmental needs? I'll start with you.
Just about 2 to 3 minutes. Sure. I think Chase was diagnosed when he was about 3, 4, but I knew there was something wrong from when he was a toddler, because he wasn't babbling, and I kept saying to the doctors about it that he's not babbling, because I have an older child who is 19 now, so I was kind of relating his growth to her, and I kept being told that we had a girl, and so he's a boy. Boys developed much more slower than girls, but I just knew that the development that they were talking about is not development that, you know, it's not a slow development. There's just something wrong. Something wrong in the sense that he wasn't developing in the same way Charlie was developing, and so I kept pushing and saying, you know, can we just like talk about it? And for me, it was more because I wanted to understand it, not because I thought, you know, whatever is wrong, whatever is happening is wrong, but I wanted to understand, why is it not happening? Why is this not happening for him, and why did it happen for Charlie? And that thing about, oh, it's just because he's a boy, it just didn't wash. I wanted to dig deep. So I went the private way, pushing, and got diagnosis for him when he was about 3 or 4, before the local authority intervention happened.
Okay. And so for the Smiths as well, how did you discover that your child had disabilities?
I mean, well, for Messiah, it's a bit different because he suffered a brain injury from the brain bleed. And when we went to Canada for his reconstructive surgery, because it was so severe, it was a very, very severe surgery. They had to store his bone in his little tummy. And when we did what is it called? Cranioplasty, and we started to do rehab with him, he had to take like 12 months of intense rehabilitation, like to start to walk again, sit up again, everything, like back to you have a baby in your hand, hold your baby's neck up kind of way, yeah. And he was then almost 2, he was 18 months when we were going to the rehab center with him, and that's when we started to see speech and language therapists, occupational therapists, physical therapists, and the speech and language therapist, she asked me, do I know what autism is? It's like, I've heard of it before, but what does that have to do with my son? Then she said, well, because of his brain injury and the part of his brain that was damaged, he will present as a child that is on the spectrum. So they just put him on the spectrum.
They explain that.
Yeah, it's a brain injury. So when he started nursery, and they were like, okay, well, you know, his behavior, his developmental and stuff. I was like, yeah, just treat him as a child on the spectrum, yeah. As a brain injury, but just treat him like he has like autism. And it's like, yeah, no, we're not, no. And we got the, what is it called, the educational therapist to help advocate for us, and then they got him the BOSA, or if BOSA or BOCA, it was an assessment. And that's where we started off. Okay, then he got the diagnosis of autism, and after the diagnosis of autism came ADHD, and what is it again? No, just, what's it? Where he doesn't, communication.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like his communication.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like it's challenging for him sometimes, emotional, it just takes over.
Yeah.
And that comes from the brain injury part of it. So it's just always, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a little storm. He's a little storm.
You know what you mentioned actually leads to the next question, which are, what are some of the early interventions that got exposed to and have been most effective for your children?
Well,
So you can start this way.
for me, because I got the chance to take Messiah to the rehab center, I sat back and I watched the speech and language therapist work with him. I watched the physical therapist work with him. I watched the OT work with him. So I was like, okay.
This is what you do.
Okay, notes, take notes, and when I get back home, playtime becomes OT time. You know what I mean? Like, playtime, bath time becomes physical therapy time. Kick your legs in the tub, take you to the pool. Because his right side was just, it was bad. And he was not even supposed to walk again. But by God's grace, people who know Messiah in this room, they know he runs.
We thank God.
They know he runs.
Fantastic. Just to get a diversity of questions in there, actually, I'm going to throw this over to you, Maria. As you're culturally representing Africa, I wanted to ask you, how actually has your cultural background influenced how maybe you learned about autism, or even advocated or spoken about it, or shaped your understanding of it really? Yeah.
I think one of the difficulties for me hasn't actually been the diagnosis of my son being autistic. It's dealing with my community and dealing with other people. Because it wasn't something that I felt like, oh, you have to accept it. Because and I remember when he was diagnosed, the pediatrician said to us, congratulations, you have the most fantastic child who is autistic. And that resonated with me so much because I just thought, no one has ever put it in that way. And then trying to relate that to the closest members of your family, probably even my mother, for example, saying traces of autistic, and she going, don't say that to him, don't say that to him, he's not autistic, he's not got faults. And I'm like, it's not a fault, what are you talking about? it's not a fault. That's what he is. That's his personality. It's saying, you know, my personality is I'm bubbly, and this is my personality. That is Trace's personality. That is part of it. Or telling me she's going to pray for him. Or I've spoken to the pastor, and they bless some water. You have to give him this water, and if you give him this water, he will start talking. That was the hardest part for me, because it's not only you having to, it's like almost double protecting your child. And as a mother, you don't feel like you have to protect your child against the closest family members. But when you're an autistic mother in an African community, you're protecting your child against your family members, because they're constantly feeling and trying to make your child feel less than. And so that battle for me has been the biggest battle, and the battle that I fight. I fight that more than I'll fight a local authority, to be honest, because that annoys me immensely. Yeah.
Thank you for that. And we could hear some voices of support. Yeah, I can imagine.
My mom's Haitian, and his mom's from the Turks and Caicos, but
Yeah.
the same way. That's the same way. Like,
Miseducation.
yeah.
Misdoctrinated. I would say it's just miseducation, not enough documented information that was passed on to them. It is because of the type of generation, the time, the age that they were born. It has a lot to do with, just the timing on itself. Because us now, we have a lot of new resources, information, and it's out there. People are actually getting access to it. So it's easier for us to get an understanding of what autism or special needs is.
but it's if the person wants to embrace it.
But
as
yeah,
well.
it's still, I find you saying that, but it's also with the younger people, because what I find, my son goes to a specialist school. When he started in that specialist school, I live in Kent, I would say he was the only black or mixed race child in his class that was diagnosed at that early age. Much later on, now that he's 10, I'm meeting more and more black parents, but it's only now that they're finding out that their child is autistic, because they didn't want to accept it from the early stage. And early intervention, I could not stress it how important it is. Chase wasn't saying anything, he wasn't talking. So we started with sign language, and then we started speech therapy, just encouraging speech. And it's because of that early intervention that he says a lot more now than he was supposed to say. So I couldn't stress enough how early intervention and how important that is.
You know what? You've taken the next question again, because sorry. No.
It's okay.
It's absolutely fine.
Whatever you're saying, it resonates with me.
It resonates, really. I mean, I can see the heads nodding, and I'm sure there's going to be more to say, because the next question was going to be, what message would you like to give to other parents who are just starting their journey with a new diagnosis? Maybe the Smiths, you can start.
I would say even for parents without autistic kids, or I think they should educate their children on the whole situation, because they're actually going to some of the same institutions, and they're going to have to interact with each other. So basically, if even parents without children with autism give them that awareness and educate them on the kids that they're going to be seeing within an institution, eventually it would possibly lead up to those kids being able to come together, instead of the fact of them being separated as special needs kids, or they'll be able to join with the general population if they are able to understand and learn more and more about each other.
That makes perfect
Because
sense.
as us, the people that are dealing with the kids who have special needs, we don't have special needs. Some of us do, yes. Because we have, but at the same time, I'm just giving a reference on how we can actually assist this stuff by coming together, special needs and people without special needs, So that is just my idea of,
That's true.
Sorry, thank you. As I was saying before, early intervention. Like, that is very, very key. And don't wait for other people to accept your child. There's nothing wrong with your child. Your child is perfect just as they are. Chase's memory is incredible. That boy does not forget anything. Nothing.
Your roadmaps.
He has a roadmap, seriously. I take a special route that I drive him to school every day. If there's traffic and I change that route, he has the biggest tantrum that you can imagine. How many, I've got an older child, she can never remember where she's going. You can take her to so many directions, she doesn't remember it. But Chase remembers it. Chase never ever leaves a toy at school. He takes a toy, he brings that toy. He remembers where he places everything. And as long as and he's the most organized child ever. He's more organized than me. So it's like, seriously, you can't really, so it's just about learning that we're the odd ones. Yeah. I always feel like we're the odd ones, and their brain is on another level that our brain cannot even attempt to reach.
They have superpowers.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Please give a round of applause to the Smith and Maria Bradford.
I have a child. She's going to be 4, and anytime she goes to the nursery and come back and tell her about some of the kids, and then she'll be like, what's wrong with her? I'm like, there's nothing wrong with her. In fact, I think that kid is special. Yeah. And then she'll be like, well, I'm special. I know. I know he's special. I think that kid is more special. My wife is a psychologist, and so you can imagine, I know some of the information. And then when I listen to some of the things that she talks about within our community, that the lack of information, just a basic understanding about the neurodivergent, to the fact that I'm a Christian, we fought with our church leadership that we have to train every workforce on neurodivergent.
That's great. That's great.
So honestly, thank you guys so much for sharing your experience.
Alright people, it's your girl Itty Bawa signing out. This has been an amazing and necessary day for autism awareness. You know what, NeuroStars, congratulations to you for doing this, for raising awareness, for bringing this topic to light, for bringing community together. I see people smiling, talking, networking, eating, jubilating, and people have come with their children as well. One thing about us in the Black community, I love what we are doing right now, where we are bringing more and more important conversations to light. So kudos to NeuroStars, kudos to all the participants who are involved, kudos to the partners. Thank you for having me. It has been my absolute pleasure getting to interact with you and to host this wonderful event of autism awareness in ethnic communities. Have a great one.